Have you ever wondered if you've encountered an angel without knowing it? This intriguing question is rooted in the biblical text of Hebrews 13:2, which encourages us not to forget to show hospitality to strangers, for in doing so, some people have unknowingly entertained angels. The concept of angels appearing as humans isn't an alien idea in the scripture. In fact, there are several instances where angels, these celestial beings, have taken on the guise of ordinary individuals to interact with humanity. Their purpose? To carry out divine assignments, convey critical messages, and even participate in the unfolding of God's grand narrative. One such notable instance can be found in the book of Genesis, chapter 18. Here, three seemingly ordinary men pay a visit to Abraham and Sarah. Yet, as the story unfolds, it's revealed that one of these men is an angel of the Lord, bearing the good news that Sarah, even in her old age, will bear a son. The book of Genesis again, in chapter 32, recounts the tale of Jacob, who wrestles with a man throughout the night. This man, however, turns out to be more than he seems. Jacob eventually realizes he has been wrestling with God, or an angel, who blesses him and changes his name to Israel. Similarly, in Judges 13, an angel makes an appearance to Manoah's wife, foretelling the birth of Samson. The angel even partakes in a sacrificial offering, behaving just like a human would. These stories, along with numerous scripture references including Hebrews 1:14, Genesis 19, 1 Psalm 91:11, and Acts 12:15, reveal the active role of angels in the lives of believers. Their work often transcends human understanding, operating in ways we might not always recognize. As we delve into the mysteries of the Bible, we find several instances where angels have taken human form. So next time, when you extend kindness and hospitality to a stranger, remember Hebrews 13:2. You might just be entertaining an angel. Let's journey back to the time of Abraham and Sarah. In the parched land of Mamre, under the shade of the terebinth trees, an extraordinary event was about to unfold. Abraham, the patriarch, and Sarah, his devoted wife, were living out their twilight years with a longing unfulfilled. They were childless, a source of great sorrow for them. But unbeknownst to them, a divine plan was about to be set into motion. One day in the heat of the noon sun, Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. Despite their seemingly ordinary appearance, Abraham felt a profound sense of reverence. He rushed to greet these strangers with the warm hospitality customary of his time. He offered them water to wash their feet and shade to rest. Sarah, too, played her part in this act of kindness, preparing a meal for the guests. As they sat under the tree enjoying the food and the cool shade, one of the men, later revealed to be an angel of the Lord, made a startling proclamation. He declared that Sarah, in her old age, would bear a son. Sarah, overhearing this from the tent, laughed in disbelief. Remember, she was well past her childbearing years. Yet this was no ordinary visitor, and his words were not to be taken lightly. This angel, appearing as a man, was a divine messenger from God, carrying a promise that seemed impossible in human terms. But with God, all things are possible. True to the angel's word, Sarah did conceive and gave birth to a son, Isaac, meaning he laughs, a fitting name marking the joyous fulfillment of God's promise. In their old age, they were visited by an angel, a divine messenger who brought them joyful news. This encounter, nestled in the pages of Genesis 18, is a powerful testament to the extraordinary ways in which the divine can enter our everyday lives, often in the guise of the ordinary. Imagine wrestling with a stranger in the dark, only to find out he was not just an ordinary man. This is exactly what happened to Jacob, one of the patriarchs of the Old Testament, in a captivating event recorded in Genesis 32. Jacob was on his way back home after spending 2 decades in the land of his uncle Laban, where he married and had children. One night, as Jacob was preparing to reconcile with his estranged brother Esau, he found himself alone. Suddenly, he was wrestling with a man until the break of dawn. This was no ordinary wrestling match, and his opponent was no ordinary man. The struggle was intense, and neither of them was yielding. As dawn broke, the man saw that he could not overpower Jacob, so he touched Jacob's hip, and instantly, Jacob's hip was wrenched. Despite the pain, Jacob held on and refused to let the man go unless he blessed him. It was then that the man asked Jacob his name, and in return gave him a new one, Israel. He said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." Jacob then realized that he had seen God face to face, and his life was spared. This divine encounter left Jacob with a limp, a constant reminder of his wrestling match with God and the transformation it brought in his life. The story of Jacob's wrestling match is not just about a physical struggle. It's a metaphor for our spiritual struggles, our wrestlings with God, our wrestlings within ourselves. In the end, Jacob was changed, not just in name, but in nature. He was no longer a deceiver, but a prince with God. Jacob's struggle was more than physical. It was a spiritual encounter that changed his life forever. The struggles we face in life may be tough and painful, but they can lead us to profound transformations, just like Jacob's midnight encounter. Ever heard of a supernatural birth announcement? Well, in the book of Judges, chapter 13, we find a fascinating tale that takes us back to the days of ancient Israel. This story unfolds in the humble home of a couple, Manoah and his wife, who were yet to be blessed with a child. One day, Manoah's wife was alone when an intriguing visitor arrived. The visitor, who was no ordinary man but an angel in disguise, came with a message from the heavens. He told her, "You will become pregnant and give birth to a son." Now, this was no ordinary child. The angel gave specific instructions about the boy's upbringing. He was to be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb. His hair was never to be cut, a symbol of his consecration, and his life would be marked by a distinctive purpose: to begin the deliverance of Israel from the oppressive hand of the Philistines. Manoah's wife, filled with awe and wonder, shared this extraordinary news with her husband. Wanting to understand more, Manoah prayed for the visitor to return and give further instructions. And so the angel appeared again, repeating his message and confirming the divine purpose of their yet-to-be-born son. This angelic visitation was not just a birth announcement, but a proclamation of a life that would impact history. It was the announcement of the birth of Samson, a man of immense strength, known for his heroic feats against the Philistines. The story of the angel's visit to Manoah's wife underscores the extraordinary ways in which God communicates his plans. It highlights the significance of angelic visitations in the unfolding of God's divine narrative. This encounter also serves as a reminder that angels are not always ethereal beings floating on clouds. Sometimes they walk among us, carrying messages that change the course of our lives, and in some cases, the trajectory of history. An angel broke the news of Samson's birth, a child destined for great things. How often do we pass by strangers without a second thought? Each day we cross paths with countless individuals, each carrying their own stories, dreams, and burdens. In the hustle and bustle of our busy lives, it's easy to overlook the significance of these fleeting interactions. Yet, as we've explored in our previous scenes, angels have often walked among us, disguised as everyday individuals. Remember Abraham and Sarah, who welcomed strangers into their home, only to discover they were divine messengers? Or Jacob, who wrestled with a stranger in the night, only to realize he had been in the presence of the divine? Even the parents of Samson, who received a prophecy from a stranger, later revealed to be an angel. These biblical accounts remind us of the profound mystery and wonder that can be found in the seemingly ordinary. They invite us to consider the possibility that the stranger we encounter, the person we offer our seat to on the bus, the individual we help across the street, the neighbor we invite over for a meal, could be a divine messenger in disguise. Hebrews 13:2 urges us, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." This is a powerful call to kindness, generosity, and openness. It's a reminder that in every interaction, there's an opportunity for grace, for connection, and for divine encounter. As we go about our days, let's carry this message in our hearts. Let's look at each person we meet, not just as a stranger, but as a potential messenger of grace. Let's extend our hands in hospitality, offer our hearts in kindness, and open our lives to the possibility of divine encounter. And who knows? The next time you help a stranger, you might just be entertaining an angel unawares. Remember, the stranger you help today might be an angel in disguise.